Hey everyone, welcome back to the Soil Sanctuary. Today's plan is to go through all this wood, hammer out all the nails, cut the boards, and then measure all the dimensions so that we can input that information into ChatGPT and hopefully get an output of the way to use this wood in the most efficient manner to build those garden beds. So I was looking at my notes this morning for last year of when I planted my snap peas, and it was on March 4th, and today is March 5th, and I don't even have the beds prepared. I don't have the soil made yet, so I feel like I'm a little bit behind on schedule this year. We need to get these beds made because that's our biggest priority right now, is to get our snap peas in the ground so we can get an early harvest at the end of May, early June, and then have room in these beds midsummer for our next round of produce. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
What are you up to?
Gonna make some garden beds out of them.
Okay, cool.
It's a lot of work, but it's free.
Man, all right.
But it's free. You can't beat it.
Yeah, you can't be free.
You can't be free. At least the warm weather's coming, so got something to look forward to.
Around the corner.
Yeah, exactly. All right, bro. Take care. See you later. That's our last board, and that was a lot of work. Got a lot of nails out, got probably a couple hundred here on the ground. We got a lot of wood too, a lot of good wood and some split wood, so we'll have to figure out our dimensions, and hopefully ChatGPT will come in handy to help us kind of figure out what the most efficient way will be for us to put these boards together so that we can use the least amount of wood in order to build these raised garden beds. Each pile here represents a different width board. We have 21 piles altogether, so all the way from 4 inches up until 11.25. So 11.25 is a pretty good depth for our raised beds, and that's what we're going to go with for our height of our raised beds all around. So the rest of these boards that are smaller are going to have to be combined or stacked together to create that 11.25 depth that we're looking for. So our next step is to take note of all of the size boards that we have here, and then hopefully ChatGPT will output the information that we need to use this wood in the most efficient way to build those beds. So we have two 100-inch by 4-inch depth. To make it easier, let's put our depths first. So the first depth is going to be 4 inches, and then it's going to be 4.25, and then 4.75, and then 5, 9, 10, and 11.25. The thing is, they're not all the same length either, so these are 4.25 inch depth, but the length is 74, 83, and 100. 6.5, we have 3 boards, 90, and 2 100s. 11.25, we have 1 board at 100. All right, so that's all the boards. The next step is to go in the garden and actually see how long we want our garden beds to be. So let's go in there and figure that out. So if you guys remember in the last video, I showed you guys these white buckets, and this is where I planted a few of my pole beans last year. This year, I'm hoping to get that long garden bed basically from that end of the garden up until where you guys are over there. So the next step is basically just to measure that distance so that we get the length of our garden bed. So we have 23 feet to here, 24 feet to here. I don't think I want to go any longer than 23 feet because I do plan on adding one more rainwater catchment tank here, so I don't want to go too far into that space. Okay, so on this side, 24 feet, except I have to subtract a few feet because of the greenhouse door. So we're looking about 21 feet on this side. For this side, we're looking about 18 feet. I just had lunch, and as I was making my lunch, I typed up the question that I want to ask ChatGPT, as well as all of the dimensions of our boards that we have here. And we can go ahead now and input that into ChatGPT, and hopefully we'll get something useful and interesting in response. So let's go ahead and copy this now, and then paste it into ChatGPT and see what we get. ChatGPT says, "Thanks for providing all the details. To help you build the garden beds efficiently, I'll focus on using the least amount of wood while maintaining your minimum depth requirement of 10 inches or 11.25 as your preference. You can combine widths of your boards to achieve the 11.25 depth. For example, combining wider boards like 6 inches and 5.25 for a total of 11.25 is an effective way to minimize cutting. If you'd like to see more detailed breakdown of the cuts and any adjustments, feel free to let me know." Yes, let's put that in. But it just started to rain a little bit, and I know that rain is coming tonight, so I do want to get these boards moved inside before they get wet. So let's take care of that first, and then we'll come back to this. Good. Done. Ay, ay, ay. Come on. I'll now run calculations to determine the best way to combine these boards for your garden beds. That sounds good. Here we go. This is what I was looking for the first time. I guess logging in really made a big difference. Board combinations for the bed sides. Each pair of boards below will be joined to create 11.25 inches of depth for each section. And then it goes on to list 10 combinations to create different sections. All right, we just pulled up to Home Depot. I gotta run in, I gotta grab a few screws. I also need to get peat moss, but I think I'm gonna come back for that another time because I wanna get back and start working on these garden beds. So the plan for today is to cut the wood, seal the wood, and then put the beds together and hopefully get at least the snap pea side done. So that way tomorrow I can come back and get the snap peas planted. What's 11 1/4 minus 475? 6.5. Okay, so we got 3 or 4 garden beds all put together over there with our combinations that ChatGPT supplied to us. The only downside was that all these boards you see behind me are 8 inches or higher. And so if I'm trying to get that depth of 11.25, that means I would need another board to stack on top of this that's less than 4 inches, right? Because 8 plus 4 is 12. So I would need a maximum of 3.25. So 8, 9, 10, 11.25. So I just don't have those boards. I was limited on the amount of boards that I had that were 4 to 5 inches in depth. So ChatGPT just couldn't literally give me enough combinations to provide all of the garden beds that I wanted to make. Anyway, so we have enough beds made here for the snap peas, which is my main priority for today, to get those done. The rest of the beds are going to be for pole beans, which I'm not going to plant until later in April, so we have some time with those. So when we do that, we're going to have to rip a few of these boards straight down the middle so that we can shorten these boards down to a smaller height and then combine them with the rest of these 8-inch boards to get that 11.25 desired depth. So now that we've got our boards all cut up to length, we're going to protect them with this garden sealer, and it's a non-toxic, eco-friendly sealant. I've been using it for a few years now, and I really like it because it provides a nice finish to these boards and will make them last a lot longer into the future.
Talking to yourself.
Talking to my friends.
Oh, okay.
I feel like this job could be very meditative, but when you're under a time constraint and you want to get these beds made, it's not as relaxing as it looks. How can we find a sense of slowing down and being mindful even when we are challenged with time or whatever the situation might be? It's easy to feel good when everything's going good, right? Or it's easy to feel good when your body feels good, or when you have money in your bank account, or when things seem to be going easy in your life. But how resilient is our minds for when we have to deal with challenge? And that's kind of this situation where this could be very meditative for me to be painting this, but the stress of feeling like I need to get it done is disturbing my mind. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the way that I feel. See, it's a choice that I feel stressed. It's a choice that I feel like I need to get this done by a certain time. It's the way that I interpret my reality that makes it my reality. So if I interpret it to be happy, joyful, no matter what's going on in the outside world, then that's the world I'm going to live in. So anyway, this was a good little meditation break. And now that this is done, I'm going to go make some lunch, let this dry, and I'm going to start assembling these beds. Well, that's not going to work. I might have to add a brace here in the middle so that they don't bow apart too much. Okay, I think I'm putting the wrong boards together. That's why that's why the 4x4 is too short. Whoopsies. Let me see if I have another 4 1/4 inch board. I think my best solution right now is to just cut that 5 1/4 inch board down 1 inch and then apply some sealant and then screw it on and we'll be done. So I don't know what the heck I did, but I guess it's always measure twice, cut once. Our first one is done, we got 2 more to go. We got all 3 boxes done for our 18-foot section for our snap peas, but I'm feeling pretty wiped, so we'll see you tomorrow. It's another cold and windy day today, but we got to get these beds in place. And as you can see, unfortunately, this one is just a little bit too long. Got about 3 inches too long here. So I think our best option is to just cut this board down about 3 inches so that it fits in place. I think we'll do 3.5 inches just to be safe. It's always a good idea to add some additional bracing, especially when you have boards that are stacked together like this. I found these metal brackets on some other spare wood that I had laying around. We took them off, we flattened them out, and we're gonna screw them right on here to hold these 2 boards together. That's going to be the end of this video. Unfortunately, the weather has been crazy and the wind has not stopped blowing for the last 3 or 4 days. My girlfriend said it best. She said, we can't fight nature, we just have to go with the flow. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't attempt to make soil because when you're dealing with peat moss, it's so dusty, it'll just blow up in your face. The tarp will blow all around the yard, and honestly, it just wasn't even worth the attempt. But it looks like the weather finally broke and we got some good weather coming in the forecast, so I will definitely be getting this soil blend made, these boxes filled, and our snap peas planted. So stick around, stay tuned, and we'll see you next Friday.